One of the reviews I watched before buying this bike gave this bike kind of a lower review than a very similar bike that had cheaper equipment on it. Mainly because of the hand situation here. I've got large hands, and this kind of hits you, and so the shifters kind of hit you. You can kind of get around that. But also, what he really didn't like was this bulge, the adjustment here on the hand grip. And this is like an offset adjustment, so you can bring them in closer or put them out farther if you've got gloves on. I think that's the function of that. I could be wrong. At any rate, it does kind of get in the way of your hand. And if you've got a large hand like me, you know, I'm right against that stuff if I'm gripping around it. Of course, the way to grip it is to, you know, split your hand out over this grip and hand out over this grip and ride like that most of the time. But if you get in a really bumpy situation on a trail and you really want to hold onto the bars hard, you're kind of over here. So I don't know, I'm going to have to get some kind of end grips or something. I've seen some people get and do some kind of custom thing there. Or maybe see if I can even move this stuff just a tiny bit more inwards. Because as it is now, it doesn't really work that well with my big hand. You know, I don't see any reason I couldn't move these in. That might be my plan. So this setup works much better for me. I'm barely or hardly ever touching these little adjusters that everybody hates to hit. Just barely graze them, and I can easily back off a little bit. If I had my druthers, I'd move these out still another 1/8 of an inch. But I'm kind of at the limit as to what these, this and what the bell will move. The bar gets wider, changes shape here, so I can only push these that far. Plus they're in the graphics where it says Walke here, so it's going to obscure those graphics a little. And I'm still peeking around this. Of course, I got this expanded just for fit. I wanted to be able to see that. I could barely see it before. I can actually see it a little better now. And can even maybe angle that lower even yet. So a lot of times you'll be, you know, having some fingers like this. And it's only when you're really clenching for a really rough trail that I'll be doing that. So it works great for me, and anybody with smaller hands than me would never graze it with this setting. So yeah, don't buy the cheaper bike, buy the better equipment and adjust it a little for your needs. So I moved these in, and I also angled them down a little bit more too. All in all, they're less in the way of my hand. And I'm going to have to change wire management a little, cut this tie wrap at least. Let's look at the handlebars as they set. Much happier. So this had been going on before because I noticed my cutout wasn't working on my last major ride before I even changed the handlebars around. So that was already pulling apart. This is kind of the shortest lead, kind of too short. And this thing hanging way out here doesn't help, but it's kind of how it goes because it's following the cables. I just need to keep it as that far or even closer. And I did a little bit. I slid this all back and changed the looming so that kind of restrains it, holds it back a little more. Push this one up and this one up a little bit. So I can preserve more of a loop back here. And preserving this loop here helps pull us in a little bit. I may still have to revisit this, but for now it's working. Didn't pull apart. My last little ride I just did. So I love the bike. It's quite a beast. I'll be making some adjustments to it as I just did, and a few accessory adjustments. Mainly I want to get Tuffy strips in the tires ASAP. I want some kind of rear light. I want a mirror. Things like that. So very happy. Glad I didn't buy the other bike that was very similar but had cheaper equipment as far as not having air shocks.